We're live. I'm just going to press record. Okay. Duality, backup.
Always.
All right.
I got it.
Cool. All right. We're up here. Here we go. Last chance qualifier day 2. Hopefully the stream looks good. If you were here with us yesterday, we had some internet issues, and unbeknownst to us, apparently they were removing equipment from the building yesterday that impacted our internet performance. So that would have been nice to know for people to tell us that, but looks like things are working. So,
yep.
Today's going to be a good show. We got Tim Paulson, who won for the men. He's going to join us here. Ariel Lowen, who won for the women. She's going to hop on as well. So we'll have the two of them on at the same time. Jake Berman, who finished inside the top 5. I think he finished 3rd.
Yep.
He's going to be here. And then
we'll have James Sprague.
And we are efforting another guest. I don't want to spill the beans on that one in case he does not show up, but we're efforting somebody who we always enjoy talking to. But with that being said, let me get our standings up here. We're going to have our standings going across the bottom of the screen so you guys can see that. But let's check in on the leaderboard. So here we go. For the women, man, Ariel Lowen was dominant. 3 firsts and a 6th.
Yeah, we call it that kind of performance. We call a stat buster, right? Like you talk about like trends and things like that go into a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's still pretty new. We only have 2 years worth of results, but winning 3 of 4 and just kind of running away with it.
Crazy.
I guess this is the 2nd year in a row we've had a woman stay perfect on day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Christy Erma O'Connell needed it to get back up into the top 2, and Ariel just did it for, just to flex on him a little bit.
She came in, tied for first after day number 1 and then does not let that go. But how about Elena Caratala-Sanahuya out of Spain going to the CrossFit Games for the first time in her career? She edges out Catherine David's daughter by just 4 points. Caratala-Sanahuya, I got to get used to saying that, never finishes lower than 7th, and she closed out with a 5th and a 2nd here on day number 2. So David's daughter on the outside looking in, Christine Best, Jamie Simmons as well, someone trying to come back from that shoulder injury. She takes 5th. This is all unofficial, by the way.
Yeah.
They have to tabulate some things, and we saw some things adjust yesterday as well. And then Sarah Sigmund's daughter finishes in 12th. We'll take a quick look over at the men's side right now before we bring in our guests. Tim Paulson, Timmy P, just a 2nd and a 1st, going to the CrossFit Games for the 6th straight time. Yona Koski, he's making it back. He finishes with 332 points, and then it's Jake Berman, Nick Matthew, and Tyler Christoffel rounding out the top 5. And again, we have the standings kind of scrolling on the bottom of the screen. But right now, let's bring in the 2 people who finished first in their respective divisions in the last chance qualifier, Tim Paulson and Ariel Lowen. Congratulations to both of you on making it back to the CrossFit Games.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Man.
Tim, I just saw you.
Yeah, I literally 15 minutes ago.
Oh, wow. So where are you guys? Are you in New York right now, Ariel? Or you?
No, Sivan asked us to come on for a couple minutes.
Roger that. Okay.
So you guys, we were both happened to be there.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us here.
Hell yeah, we love you guys.
Tim, I texted you earlier. I was like, I really wanted to tell you because I pretty much knew that you were going to make it, but we couldn't spill the beans because I didn't want to get it wrong. But I can't imagine the stress. We'll start with you, Tim, and I want to ask Ariel the same question, but I can't imagine the stress that you were going through this past day, 3rd place coming in and having to make up 31 points. What was that like for you going into day number 2?
I think I've mentioned it before, to you guys, I've had some of my best performances in the sport of CrossFit when my back's been against the wall, whether it's at regionals, trying to qualify after a bad day, whatever. So I like being under the gun. And that was basically what it felt like. I did the clean and jerk workout yesterday afternoon at 3:00. So I didn't know the leaderboard from day 1, but I was assuming that my workout 1 score wasn't going to be great, so I would need to really kind of send home the last 3 events. So that was the mindset. And then obviously this morning I woke up and I was in 3rd. I knew I had 30 points to make up, and there was only one option, and that was blackout. So that was it. It was like the last workout's just pure pain tolerance. There was nothing, there was no reason to stop moving other than wanting to stop. And I was like, all right, this is it. It was awesome. I had probably 20 people from my gym come by. So, they were banging on whiteboards, hooting and hollering. My last set of wall balls, I'm pretty sure the music shut off, but it was louder than when the music was on. because they were just losing their shit through the last 100 wall balls.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it was great. I mean, and then the last couple hours, luckily, I had a tea time at 11 with the boys. We played 18, so we had a couple tall boys with the gentleman and my dad. So we passed the time better than sitting around stressing looking at the leaderboard.
Fantastic. Ariel, same question to you, although you had a little bit of a different situation. You were tied for first after day one, so you had to be feeling good about your chances, but then you crushed the last two workouts, go out and win both of them. Why were both of those two tests good for you?
The last workout, statistically, I've been good at wall balls, so I kind of went into that one feeling very confident. But the clean and jerk one, man, I had no idea what to expect. I kind of went into it knowing I was in first place, and I had this like feeling of doubt, this feeling of scaredness, and man, God just like got rid of it as soon as 3, 2, 1 go started. It was like I was laser focused, and I still am kind of mind blown by that one because I don't picture myself a perfect barbell cycler, but wow, did that one surprise me, and what a way to go out. It's just amazing.
You know, Ariel, it's interesting to hear you say that about the laser focus and be really kind of dialing it in, because you were on fire, you know, for the entirety of this 2-day competition, but it kind of juxtaposes your weekend, you know, at Syndicate Crown, where it felt like you never quite got the rhythm that we saw from previous years. You only had one finish inside the top 5. And how do you attribute the kind of polar opposite competition experiences? Is it more the live competition? Is it just preparation up to that point? I'm curious where the difference was.
Oh man, so many things changed after Syndicate in my head. Like right now, I'm so grateful I didn't make it because I kind of went into Syndicate a little too confident. And coming away from it, I trained a lot harder. Me and my coach sat down and like mapped out everything we need to do, and I legit worked on it. And going into the last chance qualifier, I was in my home environment. I have my favorite pull-up bar, my favorite barbell, and just I would post on Instagram like, hey, I'm doing the workouts at 3. And then like kind of like Tim said, like all these people would show up. And I'm like, look at all these people that believe in me, even though I failed at Syndicate or didn't quite make it. I was just the whole time overcome with joy and just like so much support. It was just unreal.
Tim, you mentioned all the support that you had at your gym. And yesterday when we were talking to you, you said you had a buddy who was going to come in and just do the second round of that 4th and final workout with you. How did that play out, and how did that help you?
So my buddy Chris, basically I did the first round. I finished the first round in like 7:20, which is basically kind of the pace we were looking for. And right when I had 2 wall balls left, he jumped on a box across the way and just started going. And basically we kind of had the pace worked out in our head beforehand. Like, okay, when you're tired, you need to hold 16 a minute. Like you're not going to like it. You're not going to want to, but like you have to try and hold it. So I kind of had him out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, all right, like just stay rep for rep, trust that he's like doing what needs to happen. It only lasted maybe like 10 burpees, and then I kind of started slobbering and didn't really wasn't all that aware of what was going on around me. But yeah, so I mean, it definitely helped though. Like just kind of like, especially those first 10 burpees on the back half are so sad. Like your legs are blown up from the wall ball, your heart rate's up, and like you have every excuse in the world to dog it. So like having someone around just to kind of look at it and be like, all right, that's the pace. Like you don't want to do it, but you can do it. It's just going to hurt a lot. It was really good just to kind of like set the tempo and kind of get me going from there.
Tim, I thought I saw you flash a can there. What is the celebratory beverage of choice right now?
Oh, the bats.
Oh,
how can you drink that on the 4th of July weekend?
So it's a hot, like hockey days, man. I drank Labatt Blue all when I shouldn't have been. It's like it's the hockey player days. It's just kind of Labatt was the beer. So yeah, we were like, they had it at the golf course, and we're like, all right, we'll buy it for the house too. We'll just keep the train rolling. All
right, Ariel had to hop off here for a second. Hopefully she comes back on. But your confidence wise, what does this do for you going into the games?
It's huge. I mean, it's wild. Like so we were in the car on the way back from the golf course, and I was trying to refresh my leaderboard over and over again, and my buddy goes, "Oh no!" And I was like, "Did I not make it?" And he goes, "No, you fucking won." And we pulled the car over. My dad's in the car. My 2 buddies are in the car, and we just like pulled over and like, little kids in middle school just jumping up and down, hugging each other on the side of the road. So It was crazy. Yeah, I forget what the question was, but man.
Hey, it's all good,
Doesn't
man.
matter. Just confidence-wise, what it does for you going into the games. I think you answered it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's great. You know, like I think it kind of shows me that my fitness is good. Like, you know, like at the end of the day, it's, you know, at semifinals, I think I mentioned to you guys, like I felt really confident about my performance and where my fitness was. It was literally like a missed rep. You know, like it was a rep here or there. Like it wasn't that I wasn't prepared. It wasn't that I wasn't fit enough. It was just that it wasn't a flawless execution, which was what I needed. You know, so this weekend it was definitely.
All right.
That's my coach Dave's son. He said games bound, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, it's definitely a huge confidence boost. Just like, you know, because especially, you know, we've only got less than a month to the games now. So, you know, training is going to look very different than it has in years past for the games. You know, usually we've got 2-3 months to really kind of ramp up. So this training block is going to look a lot different, just as far as what we really kind of choose to focus our energy and our efforts on, you know, for 3 weeks basically. But again, it's just a good confidence booster knowing like, hey, like, again, the fitness is there. And when the back's against the wall, you showed up and you did what you needed to do. So.
Ariel, how about you? What does this do for your confidence as now you head into the CrossFit Games for the second straight year?
Oh, I can't even describe what I'm feeling right now. It solidifies all the changes I've made in the past year. I've switched a lot of things, and it just kind of solidifies like God's got me where I need to be. And
yeah, I was sorry to cut you up. I was going to say, because we do see, you know, some athletes, they make it the first year. You know, you kind of go on some of the off-season circuits as far as like, you know, you get an invite to Wadapalooza and all this other stuff as well. And then we see sometimes a regression or a sophomore slump, but to make it that second time and really solidify your status, I have to imagine it's a huge breath of relief.
Oh, we can't.
Might have lost her.
Yeah, I think we did.
Ariel, you got us?
No, that's weird. I can hear you guys fine.
Yeah.
Oh. I guess you can't hear it. I wonder.
Okay, we'll do this.
Yeah.
Tim, I got to ask, how'd you shoot?
Shot an 84. It was a good day.
Nice.
Yeah, shot a 43 out, 41 back. Had 2 birdies, solid number of pars, no blow up holes. So yeah, it was a good day for golf.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah,
It's like you knew.
Yeah, Ariel.
It was the signal I needed from the universe. Like, golf went great, so let's just go ahead and qualify for the games now.
Ariel is back. Hopefully, she can hear us. Where were you when you found out that you were on top of the overall leaderboard after 4 events? I don't think she can hear us.
I think she's swapping out the earbuds.
Yeah, she's off. Okay.
Anytime.
All right. Well, Tim, let's talk about games training now, because you mentioned that is a compressed schedule for you. But we talked to you a week ago heading into the last year's qualifier. And by the way, I think that you need to be a regular guest, because apparently you showing up on the show is helping you. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Seriously, I'm all for it, guys. Let's make it a weekly thing. We're in.
But you have mentioned how you laid down a solid foundation of fitness over your career, and you have family obligations and things like that. So how do you balance what is now going to be an intense time period for you and still fulfill the obligations that are outside of training?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of it's going to come down to leaning on my team at the gym, like kind of really making sure that some of those responsibilities get passed off and take a back burner, please, because, I'm not willing to sacrifice the family time with Wes. Like, I'm not going to start training after, at nights or something like that while he's at home or anything like that. Like, I want my family time. I want my time with my wife and my son. So mostly it's going to become basically that like 7-hour window that I've got from 8 to 3 while my son's at daycare is just going to be a lot of training. Like there's not going to be a whole lot of other work getting done for the next month. So kind of talking to our team at the gym, making sure that those responsibilities are passed off, taken care of, just so that those things can basically be what I sacrifice for the next month, rather than sacrificing the time with my family, which is, like I said, that's not something I'm willing to do for anything, not the sport or anything else.
For sure. Ariel, you got us?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay. No worries. I'll repeat my earlier question. So, you qualified last year, and you even said in your post interview that it was kind of unexpected. But then, you get the benefit of being a games athlete. You get to go out on the off-season circuit, compete at some high-level events. And sometimes we see athletes from that regress a little bit. And I'm curious what getting this second games qualification now does for your own mindset and how you view yourself as an athlete and as someone that can be at that top stage consistently.
I don't even know yet. I still can't really fathom that I get to go back for 2 years in a row. It kind of confirms what my coach, what my training partner, what my husband always says. It's just neat to see, like, they don't see this. They're not telling me crazy things. You know, like those people who go on American Idol and they're like, who told them they can sing? I feel like I'm like, okay, they're not just crazy. Like, maybe I am as good as they tell me I am. So if anything, it just reaffirms that, like, God has me where he wants me, and I'm going to go to the games and I'm going to practice my swimming a little bit more, and I'm going to build up my confidence. So that way going into day one, I'm not overwhelmed. And I would ideally, I've learned about myself and my performance. If I can come in a better position than like last place, I will do better mentally. So I'm hoping this will just keep the momentum going.
What did you learn from that experience last year at the games that you now apply to this season?
That everybody is human. I kind of always put these girls on pedestals, and it's like they're all sore the next day just like me. They're all a little bit scared before a workout. Like, it's okay to have feelings.
Oh, I lost her.
I think we lost her again. But we did have a question from Dan asking, is semifinals or last chance qualifier more nerve-wracking and nervous?
Definitely semifinals. The in-person stuff is far and above more nerve-wracking, just because you don't dictate the schedule. Especially for me, I'm a 5 a.m. riser every day. Like, I'm awake at 5 o'clock regardless of the day of the week. I don't even need an alarm. I'm just awake then. So it's a lot of, for me, like, especially adjusting my daily schedule, like, semifinals, Granite games, we're at like, 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock every day. So just kind of really adjusting my training schedule the week or two before and then on competition day is toughest for me. Whereas like last chance qualifier, I did the workouts at 9 o'clock every morning, which is my normal training time. I woke up, I dropped my son at school, I have my coffee, breakfast on time, all that good stuff. And then I just rolled into the gym at my normal time, ready to rage. And then, came back at 3 o'clock and did that, which is not a super abnormal time for me either. So definitely semifinals is far more stressful.
Yeah. Ariel's back. Where were you, Ariel, when you found out that you were the winner?
I'm actually by the pool in my friend's bed. I kind of wanted to just like mentally get away, and I'm hanging out with my daughter Blakely, and my leaderboard wasn't refreshing because my internet is not very good out here in West Texas. And my husband calls me, my training partner and coach call me, and I lost it. I just lost it. It was just amazing. And then to win 3 of the 4, just like I can't even fathom it.
Oh man, I think between golf and pool, you guys have like the best post competition like wind down of anybody.
Here's a question from Mark. Did either of you do workouts today, or did you do them all yesterday? And did you think about redoing any of them? We can start with you, Ariel.
Okay, with me, I only did them once, one and done. I did one yesterday. Well, I did on the first day, I did the bar muscle up one and then the rowing workout. And then I did just in one day the clean and jerk one. And then this morning I did the wall ball one. And then I did not redo any of them.
Yeah, I didn't redo any of them either. I did Wednesday afternoon, I did the clean and jerk thruster, or the thruster bar muscle up workout. And then Thursday morning, I did the row handstand walk. And then I did the clean and jerk in the afternoon. And then, this morning I did the final death march to the finish line, burpee box, jump overs, double under wall ball one.
Mm-hmm.
How do you hold I was looking at your pace for the 2,000 meter row. How do you hold that? Was it like 136 or 37 that you held?
I think so.
Honestly,
yeah. So funny enough, we haven't tested a 2K row in a long time. I did a 1K at the online games in 2020, and that was like a 256, I think, which was a PR by a couple seconds. So honestly, for me, I was like, I can definitely match my 2K from 5 years ago, I think, at a sub-maximal effort. So the strategy was basically, for the first 1K, be super uncomfortable, and I held I held a 310, so I finished my 1K at 310, basically to put me in a good position to come off around 630, and giving me also a little bit of leeway where if I blew up a little bit, I would still be okay, because I knew that I could trust my ability on my hands. I wasn't all that concerned about handstand walking after rowing. It's just, there's not enough cross fatigue for me to really make a difference. But yeah, so honestly, during it, I told Sean and Tommy yesterday, I felt like I could have rowed a 6:15 and been completely fine. Like it was one of those days where you're just in the zone, and like every like I was holding, I think I held like a 26 stroke rating. So, I mean, I was just like powerful pulling. Life was good. Like it was, like I said, I was in the zone and I was ready. I almost wished it was a 2K test and I could have just sent it to the moon and not worried about the handstand walks. But sadly, that's not what it was.
It's a good question from Dan, and we'll start with you, Ariel. What does it mean to be able to go back to the CrossFit Games, especially as now parents?
It's awesome. As Blakely gets older, she kind of realizes more and more what's going on. Like she knows the CrossFit Games symbol now, and she'll be like, "Oh, CrossFit Games." So it's just neat. Like I'm not just representing Ariel Lowen. I'm representing West Texas, my daughter, my husband. It's neat. I hope she gets inspired by it one day, but it's an added little bonus, I believe.
What about you, Tim?
Man, yeah, it's definitely everything. And I think for me, it's more like my sense of purpose changed a lot when I had Wes and like just kind of becoming a dad. Like it really just, it gives you this reaffirmation of what your priorities really are. And for me, it also makes like time super precious because like I think as like the biggest lesson I've learned as a father is that like time is the most important thing that you can give your kids, like your time with them, like giving them your attention, being there, not being distracted, like just like really giving them your all and giving them everything, every part of you. So, you know, and it kind of carries over to training. Like if I'm going to dedicate this much of my time to doing this, like I want to do it. I want to execute at the highest level possible. So I want to make the best use of my time. And like Wes is a big driver for that as far as like, you know, I want my time with him to count. And like, I want my time outside of him also, it became more precious because if I'm going to dedicate 3-4 hours a day to train, like I want to make it worth it. You know, I want to make every rep count. Like, and it just kind of gave me this next level of fire for just, again, just kind of finding purpose in what I was doing. So it definitely means a lot to be going back to the games as a dad of a toddler who can like, you know, really get it now. You know, like he kind of understands what dad does. He lifts with me in the basement. He's got his barbell. Like, you know, he just kind of gets what's going on more so now. He's almost 2. So just, you know, it's very different than last year, but yeah, it's everything.
So one final question for the two of you. Which workout was the most challenging for you and why? We start with you, Ariel.
I would probably say event 3 because it didn't have any skill in it other than how you want to hurt. Mm-hmm. Everybody can run, everybody can clean and jerk 155 pounds. So mentally and physically, that one kind of intimidated me going into it. But it definitely turned out great for me. And once it started, I felt like I was just laser focused, ready to go.
Man, I guess like, I mean, physically, definitely the last one, because again, it's like, you're just from the get-go, it's just hurt locker. Like there's no, like, you know, that going into it that like, I'm just going to hurt for the next 15 minutes. And there's no hiding. Like, yeah, you can do double unders and you can breathe a little bit, but like, even then it's like 45 seconds and you are active. So it's like, I think physically that was the kind of biggest one to wrap my head around, just as far as like, you need to be ready to, like, you got to be ready. Like you have to be ready, like mentally ready to be just the most uncomfortable you've ever been. But the first workout for me was definitely kind of the most mentally challenging, just because again, it's like, I'm okay with thrusters. I've done really well on thruster workouts in the past, whether at the games or semifinals, stuff like that. So the thrusters weren't the issue. But again, because of the bar muscle up capacity and the focus on cycle rate, I knew that it was just going to be a tough one. So I think mentally it was the hardest one for me. Again, just knowing that it was probably going to be my toughest finish. And turns out it definitely was.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you both. I know you had, 3 probably nerve-wracking days here, and I know you're probably glad it's all over and that you get to head back to the CrossFit Games. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this. So go enjoy the rest of your weekends and try not to celebrate too hard.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I can't promise anything, but
now, Tim, listen, man, my beer league hockey team, we just lost a player. We need somebody. So if you're ever out in California, I'm going to put you in as a ringer.
I mean, hey, I'm here for it. I haven't gotten my skates in like 10 years, but
doesn't matter. You'll be better than all of us. It doesn't we'll just get you out there. We'll be
fitness will hopefully prevail. Yeah. We won't party too hard tonight. We got an 8:50 tea time tomorrow morning.
Oh boy. All right. Well, thanks guys. Really appreciate it. Congratulations. Good luck at the games. Ariel Lowen and Tim Paulson, your right now unofficial winners of the Last Chance qualifier. Good for both of them. I'm telling you, like, Tim Paulson comes on before the Last Chance qualifier. Comes on yesterday. First and second day, number 2.
Just saying.
Little karma.
But
A
also,
little karma.
both of them said, "Hey, this was my most challenging workout of the weekend," and both of them won those workouts.
Yeah, crazy.
So it's like, okay, maybe it was more of a mental thing than it was a physical thing. But I did like their answers were really cool to hear what constituted as difficult. And for both of them, it was really just kind of like everything else by the wayside. You just got to hurt.
All right. Well, let's bring in our next guest. This guy finished 7th in the last chance qualifier. James Sprague. James, thanks so much for being here, man. I know this is not the ending that you wanted, but when you look back at the season that you had, what do you take away from this experience?
Yeah, such a great question. There's so many positives from this that I can look at and say, wow, I'm so proud of that. There's so many moments I look at and I go, that made me a better athlete. This proved to me I belong. This right here stands out. There's so many of those moments, and just falling short, but being so proud of myself for what I did. There was not a test I could have made up another point on. This entire series of 4 workouts, I executed to a T. I just told my coaches on the phone, I said, I can't hang my head up on this like I did at Syndicate because I left nothing on the table. And to be able to beat guys in workouts with a barbell that's like event 3, I didn't know how that would go, with a 225-pound clean and jerk for that many reps, and beating guys that boast 40 or 50 more pounds on their clean and jerk max. That felt really good. So, despite it not being a CrossFit Games ticket, it means so much to me that I gave full effort. I never quit this entire month, even with just nights where I'd go to bed and feel like, man, like it just haunted me thinking about that last day at Syndicate. And I feel like even though it wasn't a CrossFit Games ticket, I feel like I kind of redeemed myself and I feel like myself again. When I finished that last set of wall balls, the last set of 100, I just felt this huge sigh of relief knowing, hey, you didn't quit. You went out, you gave it your best, and you balled up. I feel like I did awesome. And this last chance is just a crazy series of tests and some freak athletes. And I think they could really take more athletes too with how good these people are. And for it to be top 2 is really strict, and you just have to perform. And I'm not going to let it happen again next year. And I'm already just fired up for what's to come this entire next season. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that wave of relief was because you finished second and had your best finish of the weekend. So you certainly balled out on that last one for sure. I'm curious because I know I was talking with your agent just before when we were scheduling this, and you mentioned that you were having a talk with your coach. And I'm curious, after a weekend like this and the season that you have, what are some things that you're going back and forth, at least in the short term, with your coach to kind of, I guess, powwow about it?
Yeah, so it's literally one thing for me to fix up and as an athlete, and it's my strength. So I just have to keep getting strong. I have to keep growing, keep progressing, get myself on a killer strength cycle, maybe put on some weight, and really grow in that this year. And just being all in invested in getting strong. I've had the last few years, I knew that was the same thing, but I wasn't able to do it because knee pain and just being held back by little nagging injuries that made it tougher to get strong. But I know that this year, like it's all in. I'm healthy. I'm ready. I feel good. And so to be able to have all those prerequisites met tells me like, hey, you're going to get stronger than ever, because on a healthy body and a good mindset and a good environment, like a lot can happen. So I am going to go to Can West Games here in about 2 weeks, end my season on that strong. Hopefully just make it my CrossFit Games. I'm going to end the season on a live competition with some incredible dudes. And so it's not over yet for me. It's not over yet.
I know it is very hard to have a long view here, and you're still very young in the sport. You're only 20 years old, and you seem to have a very good perspective on things. Where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, environment, people I've chose to hang out with and associate myself with. My coaches, my family, my dad has overcome so much in his life and in the sport of CrossFit as well, that it's just proven to me to keep your head high no matter what happens, and nothing but good's going to come your way. My faith in God just tells me I can overcome any triumph, any battle, and it's for a reason. And knowing and trusting in that. So many things.
And I'm curious. You mentioned like trying to put on weight. I think a lot of people can relate. In that 19, 20, 21 range, your body's kind of changing for guys. You start to fill out towards the back half of what you call your collegiate career.
Yeah.
I mean, are you one of those athletes that's a hard gainer? Like, for example, like I could eat as much as I want and I wouldn't have put on any weight at that age. And I'm curious where the challenge is for you in trying to put on weight, trying to eat, trying to, lift heavier weights. What is unique to your scenario?
Yeah. So I don't have struggles with losing or gaining. It's never been the thing, but it's just like, being consistent with it. If I want to stay 10 pounds above what I'm at right now, then I have to do that throughout the entire season and get comfortable with that rather than just like fluctuating as much as I want. And I just know that having more weight on me, because mass moves mass, will help me in that strength scenario. And I just never want to be bottom of the pack in anything again. And the only things I'm bottom of the pack in are strength events. So need to make sure that gets cleaned up. And I know that in doing that the next season is going to be completely different.
I was gonna say, is Dom going to put you on some crazy nutrition plan? Because I know he was validating your scores, and I know you have a pretty good resource right there in Florida.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I feel like I have everything I need, like body work, coaching, and training partners, a beach. Like I have everything I need here that I just feel like it is the perfect environment to succeed. And it speaks so highly of how far I've come from last year to this, just with a simple move here. And I knew that it was going to be tough to make it through this last chance, and I never gave up on myself, and I never counted myself out. And I'm very proud of that, because it could have been easy after day one to be like, oh, you're in 13th, like just kind of ride the wave, see what happens. But it was like, no, I'm in 13th, I can climb. Nothing's out of contestant. So I'm really proud of that mindset, that just like, hey, stay in the battle till it's over.
Why do you think it's such a good fit for you there in Florida?
Oh man. Everyone is so different that I train with that sometimes I need more balance in my training. Like I'll dance around, have too much fun, maybe slack off a little. And all the people I train with are serious and very, very, very like not, they're all fun to train with in their own ways, but it's like eat, sleep, CrossFit. And it rubs off on me, because I think there's parts of my life, like my sleep schedule or hanging out late nights with friends, that would maybe be those 1% things that would kind of take away from my performance or my ability to perform. And being here has, like, those training partners have showed me like what it looks like to be all in. Having my coaches in my corner, I love knowing that I can get cues right away on things I need to fix. I thrive in the warm. My joints have felt amazing here. I sound like an old person, but it's true. And I just feel like, I love the change. I needed change in my life, and I needed to go try something new. And college wasn't my route. I didn't want to go be a frat boy. I was going to row in college, and that didn't work out, and I'm glad it did. And so this was like the perfect thing. I was like, I need this. It's the perfect some of my best friends are going to be there, and it's going to be a killer year 2 here season. There's going to be more people moving out. It's just going to keep getting better.
Nice. Speaking of frat boys, what's that mustache you're rocking right now? I was gonna say, you got some Oreo dust up on that top lip.
Oreo dust, he says. Let's go. So I do my speed stripes here on the side of my head.
Yeah.
And then the mustache is my newest addition to competing. So I guess it just made me go fast. People would say that's less aerodynamic. I would say it made me more of a man. So I don't know. It's just kind of there, man. I'm there for the ride, and it's kind of funny because a lot of people hate it. Like, especially my dad. He's like, shave that shit off your face, and I'm I like to like fire him up and like see. It's rare I can get my dad.
Oh, yeah, that is a dad thing.
Yeah.
Oh
man,
sure.
Your hair and your whatever's good will never be good enough unless it's just like straight shaved. And
yes.
Like, then you're good
He wants
to go.
He wants me to be bald. He wants me to be bald like him, so I can sympathize with him.
Oh,
exactly.
God,
no, that's what it is. It's
yeah.
like that's with my kid. I'm like, he's got this shaggy head of hair. I'm like, we gotta cut that.
Yeah,
Oh,
between
my
20
God.
and 25, maybe 20, 25, maybe 28. if every
Yeah.
time you get a haircut or change your facial hair, your dad isn't just badgering you, then you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on to chat a little bit, and yeah, just lots of emotion, and I feel sad, but not in the way I did from the last competition, because there was nothing I could have done differently. And yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, and listen, James, speaking of that last competition, I don't know how you handled that as well as you did, but it was
Thank you.
incredible to see that, and it's a true testament to your character. And
Thank you.
I know I speak for Tommy when it's been a pleasure to watch you compete. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will see you at the games very soon, and probably long after that as well. So
yes,
keep
it's
grinding,
a
man.
long time ahead, and I'm excited for it, and I love this sport more and more every day. So thank you guys. Let me share a little bit of my story.
Yeah, well, James, best of luck at the Can West games, and
We'll catch up soon.
yeah, hope to see you
Thank
soon.
you so much, gentlemen. Talk to you guys
Take care,
soon.
man. Congratulations. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Just a good human being, James Sprague is.
Yes.
There's Mr. Sprague, his dad.
See,
Those parents did something right, man. That is
J-
a great kid.
one thing he did right is those 22-inch pythons he was rocking at the
Yeah,
in Tennessee when he was standing on the sidelines.
I think we have one more guest. Oh yeah, he looked fit. His
Dude,
dad,
well, I mean, he's a games athlete. He's a Masters games athlete, but
guy clearly slang some weight.
Yep.
But let's go back to the leaderboard one more time, because there were some surprises here. So we just talked to James Sprague, and it was on the women's side where it was super close, but neither Katrin David's daughter nor Sarah Sigmund's daughter make it to the CrossFit Games.
Mhm.
This is the first time since what I think 2011 that, or maybe it's 2014. Did Sarah make it in 2014?
So 2014,
2014, the first time,
they
right?
weren't there, but
Yeah.
that was also the return of Annie. So like
Mhm.
you had the strong daughter presence, but this year Katrin comes up 4 points shy. She was incredibly consistent all weekend. One thing I think should be noted, and this is just more of a testament to the top women in this weekend as a whole.
Mhm.
Last year in the last chance qualifier, only 2 women, and they were the qualifiers, broke the 300-point barrier. This year we have 7 women breaking the 300-point barrier, and 7 women breaking 310. So really pushing that 6 to maybe 7 place average finish across the board. That's just so much consistency, and there's so much more consistency than we saw last year. I think it speaks to just how deep this field was. And you look at, man, the handful of athletes that finished top 10 the last 2 years in the last chance qualifier. Ohiana Moya, the other Spaniard in the top 10 alongside Elena Sanahuya, and then Maddie Sturt was top 10 both years, Fisa Gaffi both years. So these are some very fit individuals that have been putting together consistent performances and just coming up shy in multiple years. And man, it's not for any like lack of fitness. It's for sure. Like these women at the top, and even more so after seeing it all this weekend, were phenomenal.
I would have to say though that Katrin not making it is a bigger surprise than Sarah, given what Sarah's coming off of. And I think maybe she rushed back a little early at Wadapalooza, tweaked that knee a little bit, maybe never got to 100% after that. But I think the narrative was around Katrin is that, okay, well now she's she can go do her own thing. She's out of comp train. She's back home. She's going to get better, and it didn't happen. Misses out by 1 spot. It'll be interesting to see if she's able to come back.
Yeah, I mean, she, in the very least, that Reykjavik has a good training environment. She will be under the tutelage of a coach that has, been with Annie Thorsdottir her entire career. So maybe there's a longer transitionary period between. Maybe it's the natural arc of the career of an athlete. I mean, you look at that 2015. I call it the 2015 class just because even though Katrin had already qualified for the games, that was like her coming out year as far as like becoming a perennial contender. But you had athletes, you had Tia, you had Katrin, you had Sarah. Then you had some athletes like that ended up furthering their career. Holta I consider that was like her first step towards maybe starting to become that top 10 athlete. Carrie Pierce's rookie year as well. Like all of those women are gone.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Well, this is a good question.
He is the only one that is like still rising. And we don't talk about this enough, is the lifespan of an athlete that has been putting in a decade's worth of training and preparation to be at the top of this. Man, it's tough, and it's hard to know where that line is because of the variance that we see from some athletes.
This is a good question that plays into what you're talking about from Dan Dye. Are we now seeing athletes from 2014 through 2018 having tougher times with a new generation of athletes making their name? And I think without question,
Yeah,
because that the class that Dan's talking about, 2014 to 2018, they are now the ones who are going to be the first dealing with this young crop. You think back to 2011 to 2013 when the games were really starting to take off. There were no teenage athletes up and coming, youngsters who were making a name for themselves. It was all people who had discovered the sport in their 20s, mid 20s, some early 30s, who were the fixtures. But now you have like the steady influx of teenage athletes, and the window, I think, for a lot of men and women in the sport is starting to mirror now what you would see in a normal professional sport. You got maybe a 5-6 year window to do as much as you can. And then once you hit, the back half of your 20s, early 30s, that's when you're going to start getting pushed out a little bit.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think a lot of it mirrors the development that we saw in UFC back in the day, where some of the early like pioneers and champions and stars of the sport were very one dimensional. It's like, hey, they could, you go and look at Chuck Liddell or maybe Matt Hughes or like Dan Henderson, Rampage Jackson, some of these people that they could do one thing elite, and then the rest of their game was funneling towards that area, whether it was Chuck Liddell and his punching power, Rampage and he had a devastating left hook. Matt Hughes was his ground and pound. And if you could, BJ Penn was more of a, one of the first world champion black belts to be in the UFC and be a champion. Now what we started to see is the true MMA, the true mixture of martial arts coming in. And now you have guys that, you look at Usman and Israel and Sanya, and even John Jones was that next gen that we saw that came up and started giving everyone trouble. They can mix all of those things. And if in the very least, they don't have that one gaping hole to where if you could tap into that weakness, then you could completely expose them. And you used to see that back in the day where you have some champion and suddenly got put on that was knocking people out and then got put on their back and suddenly they look like, a turtle on the back of their shell. And I think that it's just the natural evolution of a sport that mixes so many different modalities that you get this next generation where they were never funneled into a sport previous to this.
Right.
They weren't a boxer starting MMA. They weren't a jiu-jitsu artist starting jumping into MMA that had to work on their striking skills. They're CrossFit athletes or they're mixed martial arts athletes that are building all of them simultaneously. So,
and one more look at the men's standings. We were supposed to have Jake Berman. He's agreed he wanted to come in. He was going to come in and talk to us, but he finished third. I just got an email from him. He said, not in the mindset right now to do it. So certainly respect that. But he had a hell of a season too, did Jake Berman. And I know he's upset, but he certainly has nothing to hang his head about right now.
For sure.
Let's talk about this in lieu of that, because this is a popular topic about extra spots in Oceania and Europe. And the way that season is based, the way the structure is based, is based on participation in the Open, and that's how it's
not just that.
It's okay, but it's
a combination of things, and I think that's.
But that's originally how it was intended. You get more participation in the Open, you get more semifinals, you get more. It's proportional.
Kind of. I mean, it's always been a mixture from the outset. They said,
but I think they should.
Yeah. So I think it should be They said they were going to look at relative performance. They're going to look at registration in the Open. They look at affiliate density, population, all of those different things that go into, building whether or not they should get, more spots long term. It's without a doubt, Europe deserves more representation. And I think it comes down to not just spots at the games, and they need another event. I think another semifinal
I
event.
think probably that's accurate.
You could drop the qualifications per spots per event to 4 and give them additional events. So 12 women go, you spread out the town a little bit more. And overall there's more opportunity. I think Oceania, you could make a case for an extra spot there. The tough part about Oceania is that there's a pretty steep drop off in my mind. There's the top 4 right now. And for the longest time, Jamie Simmons didn't have to compete there because of the location.
Right.
But the rise of Ellie Turner, I think, has really thrown a monkey wrench into the mix.
Because the 5 off the top of the head are, Tia and Cara, Ellie, Maddie Certain, Jamie Simmons.
Yes.
Then,
Very
then
clearly.
you're right. Then after that, it's
kind of a drop off.
Mhm.
And that has been the case in Oceania, I feel like, for a while. And you've seen some people rotate in and out from
Mhm.
time to time, but there's been a pretty steep drop off from the next group in. And I think you could certainly make an argument that they deserve an extra spot.
Mhm.
Australia, New Zealand in particular, have had a heavy influence in the sport for a very long time, and have a very dedicated affiliate fan base. So I do, and participation base. So I do think you could make a case for a fourth spot. That also opens up an additional, another spot down the leaderboard for the last chance. But it's you also have to consider, where do those spots come from, or do you break the 40-person rule, right? Because
I mean, if you do that, you still had cuts last year, but if you start going down that route, cuts start happening earlier, because you got to get it down. Like 40, it seems to be the manageable number here. But yeah, that's a good question. If are you going to break that barrier? Are you going to take them away? And if you are, from whom? But it's an interesting question,
because back in the day we used to have 44, 45 spots at the games, and they would stagger heats accordingly. It really throws a wrench into the game plan. But maybe that's something you look at. Hey, we have one more year in Madison next year. You entertain more spots overall, and then you move to wherever the next home is with a full head of steam, understanding, hey, we've already tested the additional lanes or the extra heats at a place that we know how to operate. So I could certainly see that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, so this is from Taylor. Chase and Bill, good friends over at Get With The Programming. Standardizing workouts for semifinals and removing the last chance qualifier. So I agree with the first part. I like the last chance qualifier, because I think we've seen that it allows for those athletes that have, and we saw it last year with Chris Guillermo O'Connell, and even this year with Tim Paulson, who have one execution error that costs them a spot, are able to get back in. I like that. I don't want to get rid of the last chance qualifier. I think it's been a good addition, but I do like the standardized programming across all the semifinals. I understand why they don't do it. I like the fact that they introduced some of it this year, so you have some of that comparison. I'm just old school, and then I like to see the season layout where everybody answers the same questions. So when you get to the games, and then when you're done with the games, you can unequivocally say, this is the fittest person on earth, because they all did the same thing.
Yeah, I like standardized programming. I like that we've kind of gone through this experiment a little bit to see what it's like, standardizing a couple different workouts. Obviously, the last chance qualifier is standardized, but as it should be, and seeing how different people in the space adapt to that. I think after a couple of years, I think there's the clamoring for unique programming from events has quieted, because coming off of sanctionals, people just 2 years ago coming off of sanctionals, a lot of people were like, no, we like unique. Let's like play to each event's strengths.
Yeah.
And I think now we're like, okay, we're kind of getting back into a groove as far as like getting through the season as it was planned.
Yeah.
Maybe, all right, yeah, let's go back to standardized programming so we can also do that. The other thing that standardized programming allows you to do, and I was thinking about that now that I just mentioned the women that have finished inside the top 10, 2 years at the last chance, it also allows you to build a point season. Someone brought this up to me the other day, and I can't remember off the top of my head, and I apologize, that they used an accumulation of points to award last chance spots.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So your historical performance over the course of a couple seasons, I guess next year will be 3. So we've got a couple of 3 seasons of data to utilize if we want to backfill a little bit and start to reward consistent performers.
Well, and I think that you brought this up, and I think the thing that people need to realize when you look at the season and you're like, well, we got to fix this and we got to fix that. This is the first time since 2019 or 2018 when we had like a normal season take place.
Yeah.
All live events, a season that
2018
proceeded sequentially. There were no, the only virtual things that were virtual were supposed to be the open quarterfinals and now last chance qualifier.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we've seen the whole thing in action.
Yeah. It's the first time since 2018 there hasn't been significant season changes as far as structure or format. And we've been able to operate the season as originally written. So, that's a good.
This is a good point.
Yep.
I'm the HBIC. If there's standardized programming like this year, they need to place the events at the same spot. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, they can't, like, if they do it. So I'm guessing what this means is if they do 2 again next year, I think they should be in the same spot. The 2,
What do you mean?
so the semifinal workouts that CrossFit provides
Uh-huh.
should be the same event number, whether it's 2 and 6 or
Oh yeah,
so you don't mess
yeah.
with that order. That's why I thought that CrossFit would program a finale, so you have the same finish each time.
Mhm.
But I get why you don't do that, because that starts to encroach on the event organizers' abilities to program what they want to do. So it's
Yeah.
a delicate balance that you got to strike. But
I
agree.
I had
think
the
they
same.
should
I
be
had
in
the same
spot.
questions as Taylor. It didn't quite register with me at first, but that makes sense as far as like where that workout falls in the weekend slate. That makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense. Yeah, that the legless rope climb event makes a huge difference if it's the finale versus
Mhm.
the first workout. I generally like getting the strength workout done in the first half.
Yeah.
I think not just from a performance standpoint, but from a safety standpoint.
Mhm.
But yeah,
All right.
that's an interesting it's an interesting thought. Yeah, because I think athletes, and just talking with athletes behind the scenes, they seem to be for some sort of system that allows their body of work to have a bigger influence
Okay.
on where they end up and whether or not they can compete at the highest level.
I can see that.
And we talked about that last year, about like having like a lucrative off season, almost like FedEx points type
Sure.
thing that the golf does,
Mhm.
where like the big purse is waiting. But you could even do that with the season and off season, and I think that builds a more robust calendar that people can place their chips around as they see fit.
Yeah, but again, this is year 1 after a 4-year, up and down. Season's always changing. So this is the first time it's gone the way that they wanted it to go. And now let's see what adjustments they make. But I do agree. I think Europe, Oceania need more spots.
Mhm.
And I think we do need to return to more of a standardized semifinal experience, whether that's go back to regionals or just make semifinals mirror regionals better. I think that's the next step.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that fiscally it makes sense for a lot
That's
of the event organizers.
That's the problem.
Because that's the big question.
Well, I think honestly, Justin Berg talked about this on the last press conference. I think one of the biggest things that he said that was encouraging is that, and he's traveled around, but seeing, the for lack of a better term, local events that some of these semifinals were holding, I think that should be incorporated into every single one.
100%. It he was there in London, and when Mads and I were calling there, and that event would not have been the same energy or environment without the community event.
Oh yeah, it was the same way at the Filthy 150 in 2019.
You could hear the roars from over there. People would filter in for top heats. You show up at the day and the stands would already be half full, and like the Masters competition would be going on the main floor as well. So it's a nice mixture of all of it, and I think it's definitely part of the recipe going forward.
Let's take a question here from Lisa.
Yeah.
Missed a leaderboard overview at the start. Sarah finished 12th. Now that's unofficial because this can fluctuate, but
even yesterday, by the time the leaderboard had posted, there penalties had already been assessed to a lot of athletes too. So,
do you think she'll be back under training think tank next year?
I hope so. I think at this point, I think she needs to stick with where she's at.
Agreed. I don't. Again, because of the knee thing, I don't know if she got a whole year of healthy training under her belt. But I think right now, just consistency. And I think Max has El Haj, a training think tank, has an ability, and we talked to Noah Olson about this before, to sort of, let's take a couple steps back so we can take 4 steps forward.
Yeah.
And you need consistency in order to let that process play out. You can't just say, well, I didn't see the results here in year number 1. See ya, I'm going to go switch again. I'm with you. I think she needs to stay put. I think it's a good spot for her.
And it's not like they're not having success. I mean, Travis has continued to go to the games. Noah's still going back. Alexis Raptis had a monster breakthrough year this year. Jake Berman has been continually improving.
Yep.
And I know it's tough. I know it's tough that he was 1 spot out from qualifying, multiple times, but I mean, he is right there knocking on the door too. So you have a lot of really talented athletes in the building that, at various stages of their career, that can relate with you on a multitude of levels. It's not just about having the best athletes in the room, right? It's having other athletes that you can bounce ideas and kind of relate to in some way. And I don't want it to make it too important on that, but like the story last year of like how Mal and Haley like hit it off, and their experience of going through the games was benefited by having someone that they could identify with in some capacity. So for Sarah coming off an injury and being a little bit more advanced in her career, like having athletes that she can relate to on that level is like certainly helpful.
Let's go with this question. We can end on this one. This is a good one. What was your favorite part of the game season up through the last chance qualifier from our good friend Taylor Nelson? I have a couple.
There's a clear one for me.
Oh, what is it? And
it's something that I always remember is seeing Sam Briggs's farewell in person.
Ooh,
that's
a good one.
If we had to like bridge anything during that whole process, when they like played the tribute to her, and if we had to do anything for the live stream at that point, I would have been all choked up. Like it would have been a disaster. But just what she's meant to the sport and the fans and athletes too. Like to me, getting to see that in person and see her go out like and push it to the end, knowing that she was pretty banged up and that her body is, finally starting to tell her to pump the brakes. Yeah, that's it for me.
I think for me, there were just being at the semifinals, getting to be at 2 live events. I love live competition and being there with the community and watching that take place. But I'm going to go back to the Open, and I think the live Open announcement at CrossFit Hendersonville in Tennessee was super cool because it was, again, the first time since 2018 that I had been part of I take that back. We were part of one at Diablo in 2019, right? But the first time I've been part of an official CrossFit Open announcement since 2018 at an affiliate with that much energy. And it was really cool because look, there are things that go on in this community, whether it's online or at your gym, that sometimes can seem like things are bad, and there are things that need to be fixed, no doubt about it, and progress that needs to be made in a lot of areas, especially when it comes to the sport and competition. But when you got inside that affiliate and saw the enthusiasm and you saw the support that that entire community had for their athletes, like it was awesome to be back in that setting. And it was cool how they did the head-to-head, I think, with Reykjavik. And I feel like now in 2023, those Open announcements are finally going to get back to what we're used to in affiliates, big crowds, a lot of energy. So that was just like a good reminder for me that, hey, this is a great community. There's a lot of energy out here. And it was a good signal that, oh, hey, we're actually back now.
Yeah. The other one I would have to say, it's kind of a mixture of two, because we were in Tennessee for back-to-back events, is the final event back of the napkin math that was going on for both the MAC and Syndicate, being there in person again and doing it's one of those things where it's the unseen excitement about the job that we get to do sometimes is we're there, we're calling events, we're so involved in it, but there's that gap, right? But when we're waiting for the results to be finished and we're trying to figure stuff out on the fly, and we could sit back and I don't know, just wait for the leaderboard, but like there's genuine excitement. Like the last one at the MAC, where you're up there with Tanya and I'm up there scribbling stuff down and we're passing notes back and forth and we're all just like I got
Rathi talking to me in the ear. I'm trying to talk to you. That was
we're like kids again, like writing that stuff down. To me, that's like that brings me right back to just why I don't know. I wanted to work in the sport and why we love it in the first place. So that's always cool, because like we get to watch people's like games dreams come true. And as cheesy and corny as that sounds, the excitement of trying to figure that out on the fly is really cool.
Yeah,
it's a cool part of the job.
Math is not my strength, so I like double, triple, and quadruple check those numbers. I'm just like, I got to get this right. And
I've got a slide rule.
Yeah, and that's why you always just throw these are unofficial. Yeah, unofficial all the time, so you don't get held to it. But straight on to the games for now. After this, so congratulations again to Tim Paulson and Yona Koski. They are the two athletes on the men's side right now. Again, this is unofficial. Got to throw that out there because things might shift a little, but right now Paulson and Koski, your top two for the men, and Ariel Lowen and Elena Caratala Sanahuya out of Spain are your top two for the women. But Catherine Davids-Otter is only 4 points back. So again, there's reviews that need to be done here.
And for Elena, twice, 2019 and 2020, she finished second in Spain. So a spot out from potentially getting to be the national champion and represent it. Yeah. Obviously with that going away, that last 2 years, she's finished 7th at the Lowlands Throwdown to finally get through. Awesome moment for her.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting getting ready for this, and we're going to have a lot of content coming out here in the next couple of weeks and in the coming month as we get set for the CrossFit Games. A lot of interviews. We'll keep doing our regular show. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with us. Thanks to Tim Paulson, James Sprague, and Ariel Lowen for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great and safe 4th of July weekend.
Happy Canada Day.
Yeah.